people could be
Is it?
enjoying.
Is
Lost to
it?
the ether.
Yes.
It's on Audacity. I can save
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. How quickly he backpedals.
Well, maybe not.
All right. This is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. I'm Anais.
Hi, Gerald.
I'm Andy.
And this week we read Home by Agnes Chu. The story follows Limbi Jock, an elderly Singaporean woman living in Singapore's Jewel Changi Airport. Because uh, because other homeless people living in the airport are more disheveled and easily identifiable, Bijak takes great care to appear clean and neat like any other traveler. For a time, her eldest daughter would bring her a little money, but it's been months since she has last seen her daughter. One day, while sitting by the airport's iconic indoor waterfall, she sees her adult son and his presumably American wife, and she tenses up. Her son sees her, but his stare is blank. It's ambiguous if he pretends not to recognize her or truly does not recognize her. We can dig into that. Two university students find Bijak and ask her questions for a survey. The questions they ask bring up memories for her. For example, the guilt she feels that her 5 daughters went without so that her one son could thrive, her son leaving for America and never looking back, marrying and becoming a mother very young, struggling in a very poor family, then ultimately being displaced by her husband's younger mistress, who stole from Bijak and treated her like a maid, which was the final indignity that compelled her to leave her home. The final question the surveyors ask is, could you tell us why you're sleeping here? To which Bijak responds, because this is my home. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what did you guys think of this story?
I I don't know what I don't know what to think really, because it's very well written. I enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed the telling of the story. I sort of enjoyed the story as well. I got into it very easily. Both times I read it, um, it just sort of left me feeling very sad, and not that all stories should be uplifting, but it just yes, it's one of these about the sort of inequity of life, and poor people who are mistreated by others, and stuff like that. Yeah so yeah, it's a good story, and I I don't like how it made me feel, but that's probably my fault rather than
Okay.
the stories.
Yeah, why don't you feel different?
Yeah, I will next time.
Andy, what did you think?
Well, first off, I have a question for you, Anais, and that's: Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Because you didn't say.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, you don't want to say it right at the start,
Yeah.
We didn't.
since some of the content will get cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the warning, Andy.
I don't know. I kind of like this story medium. It's like, oh, what a good story. That's only interesting structurally because it's told out of sequence and important information is withheld from the reader. Like, oh, the mystery of who the man at the fountain was. Oh,
There was even a bit of the mystery of where exactly is she, and that's the one that bothered me the most.
Yeah, right. It's like, where is she? This place. Ooh, people, backpacks. Okay, it's an airport. Okay, it's an airport. She lives in an airport.
It wasn't that difficult.
But like, it wasn't bad, but I don't know, we were getting too much, drawing too much mystery from that, like, really not a mystery well, sort of annoyed me as we were reading.
I had that same reaction. So I read it once through. In the beginning, the fact that she was withholding, the writer was withholding where exactly we are for as long as she did, bothered me on my first read through. And then I'm like, okay, let me try it again. And on my second read through, it still bothered me. It felt unnecessary. But same thing with like who that man, like, yeah, I think you're right. I think also, but there's some things about it that I do like. I wish it would have focused on that more. Like,
Right.
What was something you like that you wish you would have focused on more?
Like, the meat of it was, I liked the story of this woman and like the different ways culturally she felt like she had to make what she knew were bad decisions that were hurting the people around her.
Yeah.
And herself. And like, that's this good story, and all of the parts of it are really interestingly written. They're
Yeah.
couched in this framework of like make a mystery out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And also I know, you know, the fact that it's an airport is the thing, but it's not really the thing. The story isn't that she's living in an airport. The story is why she's living in an airport. What's happened to her, and why she felt like she couldn't stay at home anymore. So it's like it's an airport, and this is what goes on at the airport, and these are the people that are airport, and then, oh, by the way, but this is her story. It's sort of
Right.
tagged on at the end, which is really, you know, sad and in a way more interesting than because I think she spends far too much time on the meat and potatoes of the airport, you know, where she washes and stuff like that, and her clothes and things like that. So I think it's not really important to the story.
Well, and it kind of like, so that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, I think maybe it's like a lack of what exactly the focus should be, because if the focus is how she wound up here, that didn't get enough time. I mean, we learned what we needed to learn, but there's more juice to squeeze there. If the other focus is the experience of homelessness, a portrait of homelessness, that would have been really interesting as well. It's not something that is really written about from the perspective of the homeless, or at least I haven't encountered it that much, right? You might get it from the perspective of somebody observing it or somebody who works with the homeless, but not the homeless person themselves. And there was something that I'm like, is this intentional or not? So Bijak takes a lot of effort. So then it would make sense. If the whole effort is she's taking a lot of effort to not appear homeless, but she clearly is. And then there's 3 points where you're like, people know. Or her mental state from being homeless. So like the 3 points are: 1, is her son like the worst person on the planet who is pretending he didn't recognize his mother? Possibly. Or did he not recognize her because she is so changed by this?
Right.
That is a possibility.
He saw
Another
a homeless
one,
woman in the airport.
right, exactly. Another one is the university, because people also do that blank stare when they look past homeless people, right? He might not recognize her. Also, the university students know she's homeless. Non-homeless people sleep at the airport all the time. Tired travelers sleep in terminals all the time. In fact, the people she was looking at might just be backpackers. Like, we don't actually know. But these students who are clearly doing a study of the homeless, and she understands that, know who she is, despite all the care she takes immediately. And then the other aspect is, in the beginning, we're told she's 68 and she's been homeless for a year, but she tells them she's 73. Has time been shifting? Is her mental state not okay? So if that's the focus, okay, that's interesting. Focus on that. Give me more of that. But I don't know. Like, it's just kind of, you know, like, is it about, because then you have this kind of unreliable narrator thing going on where, like, she thinks she's presenting a certain way. She's not. There's all these clues elsewhere. And then let's dig more into her mental state and what has happened since then. But then I felt like there wasn't enough of that because there was too much of just like walking past a flora and fauna in a mysterious place. And I'm like, that's not the interesting part of this. It's not the mystery of where she is. It's the experience of being homeless.
Yeah, and in a way, if she wanted to tell the story of somebody being homeless and how she feels and what her experience is like and what their relationship with people is like, then the other stuff, the backstory, could be told much more quickly and just hinted at or something. It's like there's you know, we're focused on the airport and say, oh, now we're focusing on how she got to be at the airport, and it's like 2 different things in a way, although they're connected, obviously.
Yeah. And I think maybe the reason why the mystery, because it's a very short story, so a little bit of time spent building up a mystery shouldn't bother you in a very short story, and yet it still does, because it just feels like, I don't know, like a strange almost game being played with the reader. Doesn't make sense, because like then the beginning is like, aha, because now you're playing with the reader a bit. Like, you assumed younger in your mind when you have a female protagonist, but she's not. There's that. And people aren't texting her and you're thinking it's some social issues, but it's this other thing. There's like this like kind of like aha, and it's like like this isn't yeah.
Right. Well, and like none of the mystery things are really involved in the emotional payoff at the end. Like, the emotional payoff of the story is, how did she come to be here?
Yes.
And
and also the final line is, it's my home, but you spent so much time making her feel extremely uncomfortable with something that's supposed to be her home. She lives here very uncomfortably, trying to at all times not appear who she is, and apparently failing at it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I had an idea, like second sentence to blend in with ever-flowing sea of people, and I thought, it's probably an airport then. It's
Oh, that's what
not
you
a train.
thought?
Yeah, yeah, because
I
it
thought
wouldn't be it wouldn't be
Yeah.
the streets. It wouldn't be. I don't know.
I thought it was just an urban setting. I thought maybe
Yeah, right. I just thought she was
immigrant in an
in a
urban
city.
setting. Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why. It just sort of came into my head.
Mhm.
Yep.
Once I saw the word terminal, I still wasn't 100% convinced. I'm like, probably an airport. What about a bus station or a train? Like, it could be other things. Probably airport though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the that the film, what's his face? What's it called? The Tourist or something? Or Terminal. It's called Terminal, isn't it? With
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah, with
Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Terminal
Yeah.
Invasion with Bruce Campbell.
Nope.
No, it's
Tom Hanks. I like that movie.
and that sort of came into my head straight away. As sort of being
Mm.
homeless in an airport, and
You like Terminal
and I thought-
Invasion?
No,
Oh.
not Terminal Invasion.
I thought Annie said she liked that movie.
Nope, The Terminal. Tom Hanks.
That's where
National
aliens
Treasure.
invade while they're trapped in an airport. Terminal
Mm.
Invasion.
I see.
Oh, is it? You'd never guess by the words Terminal Invasion, though, would you? Really? Or maybe you would.
Lots of things can invade. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe. But Andy said it with such relish, so
Yeah.
to be aliens
Yeah.
or zombies or something.
But yeah, I feel like part of my letdown is also because it is such an interesting subject matter. I think I wanted, like it was on my second read through where I really saw, there's many points where we get a hint that everybody, like, there's a disconnect between how she thinks she's presenting and possibly even her mental state in terms of that slip of time. Is she lying when she says 73 intentionally? I don't think so, because she's not really lying about anything else. And she doesn't come across deceptive too much, other than, like the small things you do to like not get caught, like, I stained my clothes or whatever, which
But she specifically like tells them the truth about the other thing. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that aspect of it is really interesting. Like, she, in her mind, living in a way that the rest of society feels is undignified, feels like she is more dignified than what she came from before. She left this big indignity, and in her mind, she still has a lot of dignity, even if the rest of society isn't seeing her in that way. They're seeing her with pity or possibly scorn, right? So that part's super interesting. That, I think, is the coolest part, and I think more juice out of that would have been good. Like, that's my biggest disappointment.
Yeah, because I although most of the emotional part of the story was to do with her backstory and how she came into this situation. It was actually, I found it quite interesting to conceive the idea that people could live permanently at an airport and not be bothered and not being cleared off or arrested or something. It's sort of, I quite like that concept and that idea. And then it becomes a vehicle for all sorts of stories from somebody, not just Tom Hanks, but people living full time at an airport around people who are so busy and so I quite like that.
honestly, it made me think of moving into an airport. Like, sell the house, you get one of those like VIP lounge access deals, right?
All right.
That's way less than a mortgage. And I think they got like showers and stuff in there.
Yeah, but now they have rules. Like, now, even if you're a member, because I have like the United card, which gets you membership. But if you're at the airport to fly, not in the Star Alliance network, and this is very boring for a literary podcast, but it bothers me that they keep changing the rules. So even if you're a member, you can't come in unless you're at the airport to fly on that, network.
Sure. So you buy a plane ticket, get inside, and then like,
sure, it's still cheaper than a mortgage, but you
refund
need the
your
money to
plane
do that.
ticket.
If you're homeless, that might be the problem. Just buying a plane ticket.
right.
But anyway,
If you had like a work from home job, you could telecommute. You could just do the whole thing from the airport business lounge.
that's right.
You just have to get through security once.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, and you stay there permanently then?
And you stay there permanently. It's everything you need inside. There's restaurants, there's bathrooms, there's
They do
showers.
clear you out of there. It's only open during certain hours.
Well, sure, they'll clear you out of there, but then you can, like, you're still past security in the airport.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying when you go into the club,
Yeah.
they check your what flight you're on.
Oh,
before
each
let
time you go in.
Each time you go in. Yeah.
Well, you'll have to just keep getting your flight delayed. Oh, I missed it. You have to push it.
They
to
know whether or
tomorrow.
not the flight's delayed. They scan it.
No, you'll go to the terminal. And say,
All right.
Gosh, I missed my flight. It was an hour ago. Can you
People
book me
tuning
again
into a
for a
literary
flight tomorrow?
podcast to learn how to live in an airport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I got the angles worked out.
I don't think so.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm sure they do scan the boarding card.
They do every time.
I know.
I get grumpy because I'm like, okay, I have the thing. I have the United card and I can't go in there because this one time I had to fly Delta because United didn't have a good flight option.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's what's so
Oh.
annoying. It's not just like you're in the airport, you can go in there if you're a member. No, you have to be at the
you
airport
have to
and you have to be flying
flying.
United
Oh, what?
or
Yeah,
any
That's a
Star
bit-
Alliance. Yeah.
That's very
But then-
mean.
Right, but then you have one ticket.
Oh, God, it's
You go to the lounge.
anti-solutions.
When they clear you out, you've missed your flight. You go to the terminal. You're like, "God, I missed my flight. Can you rebook me for tomorrow?" And then you just keep that rolling.
They won't catch on the third or fourth time you're golden. You can
No.
do this for
Of
years.
Keep
course they
missing your
won't.
flight. What are you gonna do?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to the story, Gerald said that he
Yes.
really liked the writing. That was also a pet peeve of mine. This
Oh. Hmm.
this is me. This is me. I don't know why I'm
Okay.
like this, but nothing bothers me more, makes me like roll my eyes actively, and it's me. And when somebody does adjective, it feels like emotionally manipulative. When it's like I can find like a sentence, but it's just like they want to like it was something that had her twisted, hardened. Like I see this and I don't know why it bothers me so much because to me it just feels like all right, okay, get out of the way. No, like I don't
But,
want
like-
the way trying to make me like force me to feel something like
Yeah, twisted, hardened. Oh, I see.
yeah.
Because
Or
you
when
wouldn't
somebody-
object to something being called a large purple balloon.
No, because you're
That's
describing
two
the balloon.
adjectives.
No, it's like that, like that kind of like there's like a certain tone.
Twisted,
Or-
hardened.
Yeah,
I see.
or like they'll
Yeah,
do
yeah.
like the thing where like they'll like repeat like she felt empty, period, alone, period. No. Like it's like a
Oh,
pet peeve of mine.
okay.
I don't know why.
That's not good.
Tons of writers do it. I actually read a whole book pretty mercifully short where the writer did this a lot. And I like the book and every time I'm like, no. It's my personal pet peeve. I understand that I am the problem. Bothers me
Wow.
so much.
You're a hard reader to please. Crikey.
No, I'm not. I feel like I read tons of stuff and I still finish the book, but it to me it just feels like you're stopping the reading to say feel the thing I want you to feel right now instead of taking me there, and that bothers me so much. It bothers
Wow.
me. Like no.
Okay.
You're drawing attention to the thing you're trying to make me feel too much. That's the thing. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a tell, don't show kind of scenario.
They're kind of telling, but they're not, but they're telling like they're telling you the reader how you're supposed to feel right now. That's the pet peeve. Yeah. A bit, right? Like by drawing attention and like breaking up the rhythm to do so.
And breaking up the rhythm to do so.
Right. Yeah, like you're stopping, breaking the rhythm to be like, feel the thing. And I'm like,
hang on a second. Let's stop. Take a break from this story.
mhm.
Are you understanding how twisted she is?
Do you get
Wow.
it? Okay. Anyway, so it's my personal pet peeve. I understand I am the problem. And it might be a bit because like I think I see it more with like you guys know like I write like some fanfic in the fanfic community it's like abused and I'll like read like early drafts of stuff and it's like every other paragraph. So that might also be why I'm extra sensitive to it. Sometimes I'll even do it in italics and I'm like, no. Like get me there. Like construct the scene to get the person there. Don't just like throw in words to remind people what they should be feeling. That's my pet peeve.
Okay.
Anyway,
So now we know.
but I understand I'm in the minority. There's a lot of published authors who do this, who are celebrated and win awards. It's just me. So,
Hey ho.
listen, there's some people who hate like present tense. I can live with present tense. So there we go.
You're living in the present tense right now.
All right. But you know what I mean? There's some people who are like, if it's not the literary like past, then I'm out. And it's like, see, I don't have that. I don't have that problem.
I only write in future tense.
Cool.
Nothing in my stories has happened yet.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Also, people who do like the second person point of view, there's some people who hate that. I don't.
Oh,
You see,
no.
I'm fine with it.
Really?
Look, Gerald's dying over here. Look at Gerald
Yeah,
die.
I feel my blood pressure rising.
See,
No,
that's
no,
me
no.
with this thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's got
Okay.
their quirks.
The foibles. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
I can do second person. It's fine. Sometimes it's
Don't
even
you
cool
use
when it's done
secretaries?
really well.
Yeah.
It can
I
be.
guess. Maybe I've not read the right books. Maybe.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
think I don't know. I've got nothing more to say about this story.
It was very
It's
short.
okay.
It was very short.
Yeah. 3,000 words and a bit.
Yeah. And is the story, and again, I don't know, like, is the story trying to tell me about this unreliable narrator aspect of it? It was so not the focus at all, which is fine with an unreliable narrator. That makes sense because the character whose point of view you are obviously doesn't think of themselves as an unreliable narrator, but that's why you need to kind of like drop in a few more. You gotta like,
Right.
a little bit of that.
In my Andy's golden rule of short stories is pick one thing and punch it really hard. And right, it did like a couple things and didn't really punch any of them hard.
Yeah. And like the ambiguousness of not knowing if the son didn't recognize her or didn't ignored her makes sense from her point of view or in her point of view. So it makes like, right, like the fact that she's but then that's why you have to really give the reader at least a few other clues.
Right.
Like, yeah. Because
or if that's
for me,
not what the story was supposed to be about and it somehow just crept in incidentally.
that's what I'm wondering, right? That's what
Right.
I'm wondering, which doesn't matter. Sometimes authors accidentally like do a thing and don't realize it and it still works. And it's, it's because it's sometimes like if you're drawing something in your writing that's super like accurate and super real, you might hit on certain things that you didn't even do intentionally, but it's there because you like you drew something accurately. So, and then readers might pick up on it.
Yeah.
Because for me, like if that was intentional, it kind of like brings it up a lot higher because it's like, but then hit it harder, like you were saying, Andy. Like,
right.
Like that's really interesting. The difference between the dignity that the homeless person feels and everybody being like, kind of is interesting.
I don't think you can't have too much ambiguity. I think that's the problem. It instead of you thinking, the writer's doing a very clever thing and leaving this up to me to make my mind up about something, you're then providing more ambiguities and but not, as you say, not doing the unreliable narrator thing. It's sort of like not one thing nor the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Especially since the narrator is very confident that she is absolutely pulling this off. Which, but that's interesting. Like you can still have that narrator be super confident in her point of view and the fact that she, like she does not consider herself as a person worthy of pity or a person who is less dignified now than she was before. So, like, anyway, that's the most interesting part to me. And also focusing on homelessness and somebody who already lived like a pretty went through the whole, had a family, raised a family, all of that, and happening late in life, which does happen, but choosing that character is also interesting, right? Because you could have like a homeless protagonist where it's like maybe more like it was drugs or it was depression or they lost a job, like that kind of stuff. But here it's like it is more of a final indignity. Like the mistress replaces you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I also found it interesting that there is, and I wasn't aware, and I suppose I'm still not aware whether this is a thing, but I know in Indian families there is the sons are often treated much better than the daughters, and the son is the prince, and the daughters are just going to be married to other princes somewhere. But it seems that this is a thing in Malaysia too.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, it's a bit horrible, isn't it?
Also, Singapore is like a bit from. This is coming from Crazy Rich Asians, so you know, don't grain of salt here.
Yeah.
But like my sense is it's a bit of like a Asian cultural melting pot. A lot of different cultures coming in there, so you know, like there's a lot of people who go there just basically to work, like who migrate there for like. So we actually don't know exactly like where how she ended up there, or how her husband ended up there, how long they've been, like all of that is very vague and it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that part's interesting as well. Like when she said Singaporean, like there's a part of me that's like, what does that mean? Because like it's such
right. It's like I'm from Singapore. I'm not from somewhere else that came to Singapore.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But again, from reading Crazy Rich Asians, my sense is like it's such like a kind of like Asian melting pot that the question there is like, okay, we know like, but where are you really from, right? Like it has that kind of question to it. Yeah, because there's hierarchies based on the ethnic background, even if you've been there for many generations. Like that's what was clear in Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah. Like ethnic national hierarchies that carry on for generations.
Yeah, maybe if you're more aware of Asian culture and Asian society, maybe the name Lim Bi Gyok might tell you something about her origin or something, perhaps. But
yeah.
we didn't know.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to rate?
Yeah.
Oh, and if anyone knows, please comment. Like if you yeah. Lisa's saying what we said earlier. People sleep in airports all the time. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll go 4. I'll go 4. This one.
4. Okay.
Yeah. I also will give this a solid 4. A good strong 4, but not a 5.
I feel mean because I'm coming in 3.5, but I'm not changing it because of my pet peeve.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well,
okay.
Score like you score.
Yeah. Lisa's saying, in general, I thought it was not very well written. Needed more detail and something to make it special. I think that's a bit what Andy was saying. It needed that punch, like pick something and punch really hard.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Gerald, what are we reading next week?
Next week, when I can click on the tab, we are reading A French Doll by Cynthia Ozick.
Okay. But before you go, tell us what you would do if your spouse's paramour moved into your home in our Facebook discussion group, the Literary Roadhouse Readers. You can say you would do crimes because this is a Minority Report. If you didn't actually do it, it's fine. Do you want to read more portraits of lives you've never lived? Keep this podcast going by leaving a review on Literary Roadhouse, wherever you get your podcasts, or support us on patreon.com/Literary Roadhouse. Every bit helps. And as always, share this podcast with a young couple sleeping in the corner of the airport terminal. Until next time, read a good story.
Read a good story.